Hello, hello everyone. My name is Noha Shakir and I'm the coordinator for the Wing Coaching Program. And today I would like to welcome you to this Women Informal Network interactive session on taming our inner critique. It's a very interesting topic. And I think in the journey to have a balanced, abundant, and successful life, the most critical factor is you. It's every one of us. In my own personal journey, I have been actually held back countless times by me, by that voice inside my head that made me doubt myself and make me less confident than I should have been. That voice that kept telling me whenever something good is approaching and that could change my life, that I cannot do it, that I'm not capable to undertake this senior position that I apply for, and so many examples. I did not know how to silence that voice, so it grew bigger and bigger. And in many cases, it actually hindered me from pursuing things that matter to me. And I do believe as women, many of us might be experiencing the same and not knowing what to do. So today in this session, we will learn how to manage that inner voice. And I take this opportunity to introduce one of our own WIN coaches who will be facilitating this insightful interactive coaching session, Mrs. Kate Jones. Kate is a leadership and life coach and a founder and director of Neon, a coaching company whose mission is to create a more deeply human world by helping people transform the way they live, lead, and work. Kate is very passionate about helping women bring all of who they are to the way they live, lead, and work, unconstrained by any expectation, bias, or fear, or their own inner critique. She has worked and have been working with women in humanitarian sector who wants to create a new beginning and be a force for good. And Kate has reinvented herself 3 times in her career. So she knows very well what it takes to change the direction. She is a singer, songwriter, poet, writer, and a painter. And one important thing to say that in 2021, Kate did a dreaming session for WIN, and that sparked the amazing book of You Matter. So I will not take further time. Let's take a deep breath, keep an open mind, be ready to share our thoughts and be inspired. Kate, the floor is yours and very welcome.
Thank you so much, Nuha. What a lovely introduction. And hello, everybody. Some of your beautiful faces I've seen before, and some of you are hiding behind your videos, and some of you are new to me, but it's very lovely to be here with you. I should also say, in addition to the lovely introduction that Nu has just given, that I also have my own particular relationship with my inner critic. I'm somebody that people often perceive to be very confident, and I think I do have, depending on the situation, an outward appearance of confidence. But believe me, I have the same battles sometimes inside myself about whether or not I can do it, whether I've messed it up, whether I'm actually a complete imposter, and whether I don't really merit the position that I'm in. But I have over the years found different and creative ways of managing that. And certainly in my professional life, it feels like it's much more under control. Certainly than it was at the beginning, or even 10 years into my career, probably. So I don't think I'm going to say anything more about what I do. Most of my work is coaching work, be it with individuals or with teams. I don't think that the inner critic thing is exclusive to women, but I do think that as women, we have a particular tendency to connect with that inner critic and to surrender to what it has to say to us, to give up control to the voice that tells us that we're not good enough. So what I would like to do today, in the relatively short amount of time that we have is to share a particular creative and playful way of changing the nature of our relationship with our inner critic. And my strong belief is that, particularly for those of us that know that it's very strong in us, will it ever completely go away? Possibly not. But can we change the nature of our relationship with it such that it doesn't have the same power over us? Yes, I definitely believe that we can. And that's what I'd like to try and introduce and give us an opportunity to play with. And I deliberately use the word play because even though the subject of an inner critic is actually a serious subject, because in my experience, that voice can do a lot of harm, actually. It can damage us. It can keep us back. It can create a damaging impression for ourselves, of ourselves. But I think part of the power of it can be reduced if we can actually introduce playfulness and creativity into this, because it somehow dissipates the power of the hold that the inner critic can otherwise have over us. So the intention in introducing playfulness into this session, into this workshop, is not to reduce the seriousness of the impact that an inner critic can have, but is actually deliberately to try to reduce the power that it can have over us and reduce the harm that we can do to ourselves by listening to those voices. So that's by way of introduction. I'm not going to, it's not a talk, it's a workshop. So it's going to be very interactive. And in fact, most of the session is going to be an interactive exercise that I'm hoping that you will do in pairs. And the breakout rooms will be beautifully managed by Marilena and Nuha, I think. But I wanted, first of all, and I think I invited you to bring creative things like pens and pencils and paper. You may choose to use them, you may not, but I wanted you to have that opportunity. If you don't have them, it's fine. If you do have them, that's great. So I'm just going to ask you now just to sort of check in, just say hi on the chat, just use the chat function, make sure you're addressing everybody. And just say hello, say where you're dialing in from, and maybe give us one sentence that tells us something about you and your relationship with your inner critic. So mine might be, I'm Kate, I'm speaking to you from North London, and my inner critic is vicious, but much more under control these days. That might be mine. Something like that. So name, country or city, and a little introduction about you and your own personal inner critic. Just quickly on the chat. Yes, Fiona, indeed. Just comes up at the most inconvenient moments. Wakes me up at 4 a.m. Nasty. Paralyzing. Yeah, Wadsy, I hear you. My inner critic is a friend who is living with me and I feed every day. Surprises me sometimes, but I believe it's under control most of the time. Wonderful. I'm going to increase the screen of this chat. Hi, Erin from Geneva. Loud and vocal and fierce, but usually doesn't stop me. Come on, power to the women. Emilienne from the US. Been very active lately. Yoga practice. Yes, it's an excellent way of grounding yourself. Wonderful. Yonsu, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, in Rome. Inner critic still bothering me. Ida, getting better at shutting them up. Yeah. Trying to strengthen my cheerleader, says Marilena. We'll talk more about that actually in a moment. Seda, also from Rome. Yeah, some of those typical phrases that you recognize in your head. Nuha, your inner critic freaks you out and makes you cross. Yeah, I think we've all been there at some point or another. Mummy in Rome, inner critic comes back when I don't want to hear her. Yeah, so annoying. Francis, I'm on a train. Wow, you're on the move. My inner critic is a bitch. Yeah. And also interesting, you seem to have given her a gender, which we'll come back to. Metamorphosizes, so kind of changes shapes and forms at different times. Interesting. Harari, hello Anna in Harari. Inner critic surprises at midnight. Some kind of late night, early morning inner critics here. Ava from Paris wakes up unexpectedly at the wrong moments. There are some themes here, aren't there? It's just like, just when we would really rather be left alone, they have a magical, almost like they have secret knowledge about when best to pop up to cause maximum inconvenience. Brigida in Sicily, very critical and challenging and a critic, but I'm doing all I can to push back and replace negative messages with positive and empowering ones. Thank you, Brigida. I hope I haven't left anybody out. Let me just check. I think that's most people. Alessandra, Michaela, Wadzi, Chitra. Yeah, wonderful. So welcome all of you and all of your inner critics. So maybe there are 23 of us on the call. So maybe there are actually at least 46 of us on the call. If each of us imagine that we have our inner critics sitting next to us. And in fact, I am actually going to ask you just for a moment, just imagine that this being, because by the end of this session, we're going to have turned them into more of an actual being, not just a voice, and certainly not a part of ourselves, but almost like a separate being. Just imagine that they're sitting next to you right now. So there's actually two of you on camera. We can't see him or her or it, but they're there and they're sitting next to you. So we're a group of 46 right now. So welcome all. And actually some would say that the inner critic has actually, in their origin, has been created in order to keep us safe, to keep us from harm, but were formed at a particular time in our life. And yeah, wanted to prevent us from getting into dangerous situations, but increasingly has actually is making it almost impossible for us to move into new places, because the messages that it's giving us are that it won't work, we can't do it, we're not good enough, it's not going to turn out well, etc. But perhaps we can begin by attempting to give the thing sitting next to us a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, just to kind of nod to, okay, I know maybe you have good intentions, maybe you have good intentions, but for the rest of it, just sit there for a moment. We're going to have a different conversation and we'll come back to you in a moment. And now they have no part in this next bit of the conversation. So the next bit of the conversation, I wanted to do a little visualization with you, because whilst the whole subject of inner critic or saboteur, some of you use the word saboteur, the person or the thing that sabotages or tries to sabotage our success, is quite a serious business and can cause vulnerability and distress. You know, some of the language that you saw in the check-in, I think is evidence of that. You know, these voices, these beings can do us harm if we're not careful. So in order to counter that, I wanted to put us all in touch with a different part of ourselves, a stronger part of ourselves. So what I'm going to ask you to do, you might prefer to put your videos off for this if you prefer, but I'm going to ask all of you to stand up. So you can turn your camera off. This isn't going to take long. It's just going to be a kind of visualization exercise. So you don't have to turn it off, but I don't need to be able to see you. Nobody needs to be able to see you. You simply need to be able to hear me. So I just want you, first of all, and I'm going to stand up as well, actually. So if you're looking at the screen, you can probably just see my waist. I'd like you to, first of all, stand really tall. Stand with your feet hip width apart. Stand with your back straight and your shoulders down, as though the crown of your head is lifting right up through the ceiling into, imagine just the most beautiful sunshine, not too hot, just beautiful, bright, warm, cascading sunshine. pouring all the way down through your head, through the whole of your body and into the ground. And as you feel that, feel your body relaxing. Send your mind and your breath through the whole of your body, inviting it to be strong and yet relaxed. There is no harm that is going to come to you here. Close your eyes and see if you can begin to turn the spotlight or a gentle torchlight inwards so that you're turning away from whatever room you're in and whatever work you've been doing and anything of the external world, and you're just turning the torchlight inwards. And as you do that, just for a few breaths, take some really strong, beautiful inhalations and exhalations. So as you breathe in, you're breathing in all the strength and resourcefulness and beauty and wisdom and intelligence and energy and resourcefulness that you know you are capable of. And as you breathe out, you're breathing out all the weakness or the self-doubt or the damaging inner voices or all the stuff that does not serve you, you are breathing out. And again, as you breathe in, breathing in your beauty and resilience and resourcefulness and strength. And as you're breathing out, breathe out anything and everything that does not serve you. And as you continue to stand there in that position, deliberately hold your body in a way that feels strong to you. Relaxed and yet strong. Peaceful yet powerful. Some of you may know the work of Amy Cuddy, who you may see online, who does work around body language, and she talks about the power pose, which is standing with your feet hip width apart and having each hand on each hip, like a kind of Wonder Woman pose. You can try that if you like. You can do whatever you want. You put your arms in the air, you can stretch, stand tall. Just strike a pose in a way that feels good and powerful. And as you do that, I'd like you to invite in your mind's eye, invite in one person that you know is your champion and your supporter, be it a partner or spouse or child or friend or colleague or member of your family or teacher or mentor, whoever it might be, somebody, one person that you know is your biggest supporter. And have them stand behind you like they have your back. And just notice what it's like to have them stand there. And then if you want to, if you're like, oh, but I can't just choose one person, there's more than one person. Invite in as many as you like, just right now, let them run in, whoever they are. If there's one more, two more, 10 more, have them in. You're allowed in as many as you like. And have them all stand with you, beside you, behind you. You are totally supported. And from this place where your body position and the presence of your supporters and loved ones are encouraging you and championing you, I want you to summons from inside yourself the woman that you know is your most resourceful self. The woman who is, if you like, your captain or your guide or your wise woman, your most resourceful self, who beyond all possible doubt is there for you, who's guided you through life and all the ups and downs that you've gone through in work and out of work, who's always been there for you, who's got you where you are today, who's been there when all else has failed. She is your own inner leader. and have her come and stand next to you. Every success that you have achieved, however small or big, however many relationships that you have enjoyed and given to, however many wonderful experiences, however many difficulties you have survived, she has been there for you. And she is powerful beyond measure. And she's just there, hanging out next to you. So in this last minute of this exercise, I just want you to take in her presence, take in the presence of those other people standing around you. Connect to how your body feels in this moment of strength and authority and confidence. And know that all of this resourcefulness is within you. All of it, all of them, is all within you and will be walking alongside you for the rest of this session and is always there. You just need to focus enough to be able to find it or find them. So taking a few last final big breaths and big exhales. When you're ready, open your eyes, sit back down and turn on your cameras. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Is anybody else gonna show us their beautiful faces? So I'm just going to leave you with that experience, and then I'm going to take us into the beginning of, in the context of being strongly held by our most resourceful selves, to start thinking about our inner critic. And I'd like to give you what I'm going to invite you to do in this next piece. I'm going to do a demonstration. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to the person that was sitting next to us at the beginning of the check-in when I said there were 46 of us. Maybe you already have a little bit of a sense of whether it's a he or a she or an it, whether it's a person, whether it's what kind of personality it has. Some of you gave it some attributes in the check-in, that it's angry, that it freaks you out, that it seems to like late nights or very early mornings, that it seems to have a peculiar ability to know when the most inconvenient moments are for it to pop up. All of these, like, start imagining the character that is this person or being or entity. And that's what we're going to do in the course of this main exercise. And so what I would love is for somebody to volunteer. So I'm going to do a little demo with somebody, which basically means I'm just going to have a brief conversation with somebody that's going to give all of you an idea of what to do in this next exercise that you're going to do with each other. There's no script. It's just a conversation. It's a creative conversation, essentially. So in order to give you an idea of what that conversation is going to be like, that I'd like you to replicate in your pairs, I would love somebody to kind of go, I'll have a go. And then all you need to do is have a bit of a conversation with me. And I'll just be asking you questions about your inner. Wadzi has already got her hand up. Wadzi, are you volunteering?
Yes, Kate, I am.
What? Can we see you?
Oh, I'm lying in bed.
Oh, bless you. Okay, no worries. So, so if somebody, Nuha and Marilena, if you can just keep an eye on the time for me so that I don't kind of go crazy with time. I think probably we've got 7 minutes maybe in total, maximum 10. If you can give me a shout when we're at 5 minutes, and so that we don't run over time. And the rest of you, just listen and observe, and just notice in particular the type of questions that I'm asking. And it's really not, it's not complicated. What we're really wanting to do is to create a persona or a character out of this inner voice. Okay. So Wadzi, I'm gonna, even though where have you just gone on my, are you still there? Have I just lost my volunteer? I think I've just lost my volunteer. Nuha, is that my imagination, or has Wadzi just dropped out?
Yeah, I don't see her, maybe disconnected.
So I'm going to suggest somebody else volunteers in case we can't get Wadzi back. Just a little conversation. Erin. Erin, you're on mute. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you. I think if Wadzi comes back in, then I think she'll understand that we've just moved on, but I'm going to pin you so that I can just see you. There we go. Lovely. So thank you for volunteering. And this is a demo, so I don't know if there's anything that you want us to agree at the start in terms of how the conversation goes.
I'm just going to totally trust you, crazy as I am.
Okay. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be too revealing, but just do whatever feels right for you. So my first question is, how would you describe your relationship with your inner critic?
I would say intimate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was going to say love-hate, but maybe not love. Kind of, I'm not a parent, but almost like parent-child, like, I kind of feel like I have to be the mother, like discipline and discipline the child, teach the child.
So you're disciplining your inner critic?
Trying to rein it, like, you know, sometimes your child is an angel and other times you're like, oh my gosh, like, how do I rein this child in?
I got you.
Yeah.
So it's a bit out of control. It needs some discipline and some control.
Yeah. Although I think, like someone had put in the chat, I think sometimes it can serve, like it can be a teacher or a source for self-reflection and growth. And other times I think it can just be toxic and, you know, self-sabotaging.
Yeah. And what kind of impact does it have on you most of the time? Or are there themes to the kind of impact that it has on you?
Yeah, I would say it creates fear, self-doubt, maybe like a tendency towards being a perfectionist. But well, maybe I'll stop there and see the rest of your questions. I was thinking there's kind of a sort of like a double-edged sword, I think.
Okay. And do you have a sense, does this, I'm going to call it a voice for now, but does it remind you of anybody or anything? Either in itself, in terms of the types of things that it says to you, in terms of the type of impact that it has on you? Either a real person or an imaginary person or a being or a creature, like what are its kind of characteristics?
Well, what comes to mind is, I don't know if anybody else grew up with this cartoon, but this cartoon where you have like there's the devil and an angel on your shoulder, and it's like, which one do you listen to? So it's kind of like the devil on your shoulder whispering all this bad stuff versus the angel. That's what comes to mind.
Okay, cool. Well, let's play with that then, the kind of devil and the angel on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we could imagine, would it be appropriate for the purposes of this conversation for the angel to be like your resourceful self that we talked about in the visualization? So she's there at your shoulder, on your shoulder, right behind you. And on your other shoulder, you have this little devil that you recognize or that you associate with a particular, is it from an actual particular cartoon that you remember it?
Yeah, like maybe it's an American thing,
Oh,
generations
cool.
back, I don't know, but yeah, it's a real cartoon with like the devil and the angel on the shoulder. Yeah.
So let's just imagine that. And does it have a gender, or is it an it?
That's so interesting. I never thought about it. I guess we'll say it. Yeah, like genderless.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And what other kind of, I want you to picture that devil on your shoulder for a moment from that cartoon, and just begin to give it some characteristics. What's its tone of voice? What's its personality traits? What kind of age do you think it is?
Yeah. Personality traits, I would say, and sort of the tone, the energy would be kind of like critical, maybe sarcastic, sort of like with a hard edge, kind of like, who do you think you are? You think you can do this, or you think you're, good enough to do that, or whatever. So yeah, almost sometimes. Oh, go ahead, Kate.
Sarcastic, hard-edged, has this kind of, who do you think you are, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes maybe like mocking,
Got you.
Yeah. And yeah.
Is there anything else that you're about to
say? Did I answer your question? I know you mentioned a few different things.
No, you did
Were
answer.
there other
age?
Okay.
Do you have a sense of the age of this thing?
Not so much. I guess maybe like adult age, but not a particular age, really.
So adult age.
Yeah.
And the final thing is, if you were to give it a name right now, what name might you give it? Just as like a creative, playful thing, what would you call it?
Let's see. The first thing that comes to my mind is devil, but
we can just call it devil.
Something else? Okay.
Devil. You can call it devil.
Yeah.
Now, in the interest of time, we might need to pause it there. But one of the things that I might ask you to do now, and for other people kind of listening to this, is ask you to take your pen and paper and just have a go at making marks on the page in a way that in some way communicates what devil is like. So some people like drawing, but it might not even necessarily just be a picture of devil, but it's some kind of just adding to the depiction of this character through drawing rather than just through speaking. But I'm not going to ask you to do that now. You go ahead. You're going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if I could mention like the positive aspect, or does that come later?
No, you can mention that now if you like. Yeah.
Okay. I think one thing, like I kind of surprised myself by what I wrote in the chat, and I think, the devil's whispering in my ear, whatever, but many times I say like, okay, if I make this decision out of fear, or if I don't do this because of that little devil on my shoulder, I will really regret that. And so some of the decisions I've made in my life, if I don't do this, am I going to look back and regret? So I don't know, maybe that little devil is almost as negative as it is, almost like pushing me forward, because it's like, I don't want to give in to that voice that's like, forget it, you could never do that or be that.
Yeah. Well, and also you said that because you talked about the devil and the angel.
Yeah.
So, because one of the things that I'm interested again in the conversations that you have with each other shortly is asking in your case, your devil to have a bit of a conversation with your angel. So, and using your angel as the woman that we visualized in the exercise just before this demo, your kind of wise, resourceful woman, and to give her a name, it might just be your own name. And so for Erin's angel, like, what does Erin's angel have to say to this devil? And I'm not going to ask you to answer that now, but so that in times as you move forward, you can deliberately, when you hear the devil saying the kinds of things that it says, you can invite in your angel to have a word back.
Yeah.
To counter the monologue that is coming from one shoulder. I'm going to pause it there. Thank you,
Kate.
Thank you very much. Okay, everybody. There's already some empathy coming for you, Erin, from Seda. There we go. So huge thanks to Erin, and this is the point where I'm going to invite you to do something similar. So you can, there are no rules of the game, but basically you're going to have a conversation. You're going to be invited into pairs, and you're going to be invited to take it in turns to have that kind of conversation. So for example, if Sheila is with Michaela, Sheila might go first. Sheila would start talking about her particular inner critic or saboteur, and Michaela's job would be to ask lots of questions just to draw out, what is this character like? What kind of personality do they have? What kind of tone of voice do they have? What kind of clothes do they wear? What kind of facial expressions do they have? What kind of behavior do they have? Do they remind you of anybody? Do they have a gender? Do they do they have a particular relationship with you? Does it feel like a family member? Erin talked about the parent-child thing at the beginning of that conversation, which if we'd had more time, I might have kind of picked up on. But so your job as the coach or as the person asking questions is just to get really curious and to do it with sensitivity, but also with a spirit of playfulness. Your job is to help this person create like an external being, so that by the end of it, like in Erin's case, we had this sarcastic, hard-edged, mocking adult devil called devil that is kind of popping up. I can almost imagine it sitting on Erin's shoulder, kind of going, who do you think you are? Do you really, almost like a puppet, the devil puppet? That's kind of what we're wanting to get to. Are you up for having a go? Knowing that you can't possibly get it wrong, and trust in the creativity of the person that you're speaking to. Yeah? Are you ready to have a go? So Nuha, or Marilena, would you be able to send people into pairs? You're going to have half an hour, so 15 minutes. Keep an eye on the time. When it's 15 minutes, I'll send a message through the chat to say 15 minutes have gone, and then you can change round, and then we'll come back into the plenary. Is that okay?
Yes, we have exactly 20 people on the call, so it evens out with 10 breakout groups.
Ariella says that she's going to have to leave, so
okay,
might end up with 19.
19. But... And Erin has a question, I think.
Yeah, thanks. I was just wondering if, Kate, you might be able to pop any questions into the chat just to remember, because I don't, maybe because I was speaking with you, but I don't know if I remember some of the things that you suggest we ask each other. Thanks a lot.
I'll do that whilst...
Just for you to know that the group chat, we cannot see when we are in the breakout rooms. So any message you want to get across to all, we'll have to put into the breakout groups chat function. Kate.
I know, I'm just doing it now.
And Michaela, you also have a question.
Yes, so if I correctly understood, the exercise is from both parts. And so the question could be different. I mean, if the first person is raising question, the second person can make other questions. So not necessarily should be the same, correct?
You can use the same questions. It doesn't matter. It's basically just try to imagine when you're the speaker, when you're the questioner rather, that you're trying to help your partner create a caricature, if you like a cartoon character of this voice. That's what we're trying to do. Give it a personality, give it imagine that it's a character in a play rather than just this disembodied voice. So imagine that it's a person. What's it like? How does it speak? How tall is it? Like, just this is why it's an exercise in creativity. There's no right or wrong questions. It's just a creative exercise. And if somebody has pen and paper and they like to draw, then say to them, you could ask them, would you like to have a go at drawing this thing, this person, this creature? It doesn't even have to be a person. It could be an animal. It could be a complete mythical creature. It could be like it was for Erin. It could be from a cartoon or from a children's program, or it could be completely invented out of the. I used to talk about my inner critic as a pack of wolves. That's what they felt like to me. It didn't even feel like it was one thing. It felt like it was a pack of wolves, vicious. Loads of them, noisy, like savage. That's what mine felt like. Okay, let's have a go. Just jump in. You can't get it wrong. And let's see how we go. Should we do
So just for clarification, Kate, because I saw Francis ask the question about how to get into the pairs. I will open up the breakout rooms, and you will be automatically assigned to someone. So the pairs will be automatically assigned, and then you have half an hour, and you should basically be taking turns in asking the questions. So calculate about 15 minutes each. And we'll send you a message when the time is up. Or after 15 minutes, we will send you a message so that you don't have to keep watching the clock, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, then I will open the rooms now. All you need to do is just join the room that you've been assigned to, okay?
Amani and Emilienne, are you there? Louise, can you hear me?
Yes, hi. I was assigned to room 10, but then I was on my own.
Oh.
So I was just gonna then look at another breakout room.
Are you able to, I don't think I have the power to assign you.
Maybe I'll just have a look, because I think if I click on here, it says join breakout room. So maybe I can select. I'll just have a go at that. Thanks.
Sorry, but in my room there is nobody.
Can you click on join breakout room at the bottom of your screen?
App reaction breakout rooms. You have been assigned room 8. Join breakout room. Yes, but if I join, this breakout room is empty.
I don't know how to find Marilena.
Because I text her on WhatsApp, but she doesn't reply. 9. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Let's see.
I'm back because there's nobody in room 10.
Marilena, we need your help.
Yes, I figured that. What's happening?
Some people.
I selected.
Yeah.
I selected join breakout room, and it puts
Yeah.
me in room 10, but I'm the only participant.
Okay. So Louise and Amani, what's happening with you? Chitra was waiting for you, but she was on her own. Amani, are you there? No. Anyway, Louise, I will assign you to someone.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe assign Louise to where Chitra is if Amani is not.
Yeah, I've sent now Chitra to Ida because
Okay.
Ida was on her own.
Okay.
So, you know, at this point, Louise, you and I will go into a room, okay?
Sure.
So if you could please join group 10.
Okay.
And I will also join group 10.
Okay.
Can you do that now?
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
Okay. Bye.
I can't hear you, Louise. I can't hear. There's no audio. I can't hear you. There we go. Oh, I still can't. Now you're on mute. There we go.
For goodness sake, we got there eventually. Okay, sorry for that. I was going to leave my camera off actually because I'm just sitting on my sofa, but
Did you not find Marilena?
yeah, she's in. She's in. Oh no, wait. No, we've got Amani in with us. Oh, okay. Yeah, Marilena's coming here now. This was room 10.
I've not moved.
No, you went back to Louise. You went back to the main
Oh,
room.
when I opened my video. Oh,
Probably,
gosh.
yes. In fact, you were gone, and I was like, "Where is she?"
Oh, sorry. I managed to get the video on, but I didn't.
Okay, that's
It
great.
just
We
threw
can
me back out.
do it here. No, then
When you
also
stay
Kate.
here,
Yeah,
I'll
then
yeah.
you can also follow us, Kate. And
How exciting. Goodness gracious, what an eventful evening. I was just going to be listening into this nice, interesting win session. And now I've had all sorts of excitement. So good to see you. So you're in Rome. I think we actually had an informal evening at my place last night because we tried to do our weekly or our monthly get together. And we've actually, it's really difficult to get it up and running. We had a really great launch last year and we had about 65 people come. And then, you know, we've had a few events since then where we've had some speakers come and talk about career development and grieving and what else? Writing CVs and presenting ourselves. So yeah, all sorts of nice things. But then, you know, the monthly lunches that we tried to start this year for planning as a core team, we just haven't managed to get it together properly because we've all just been so busy now going back to work. So yeah, it's tricky. But anyway.
Okay, are you ready to talk about your inner critic?
Well, I missed a chunk of the actual introduction session. So
okay, so I will very briefly brief you.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, what Kate did, she was doing a demo with a volunteer.
Mm.
So what we're supposed to do here is interview each other about our inner critic, of course, if we have one.
Yeah.
So basically, the questions that I would be asking you is, first of all, do you have an inner critic? And, you know, have you ever visualized your inner critic?
I probably haven't visualized one. I think I probably have one because I have a very talkative mind. So I'm a bit of a procrastinator. So I tend to stop myself doing things. I mean, it's a bit strange really, because I'm very action oriented. So I'm always looking to try and find solutions and get things done. But then I kind of have this, I suppose, inner critic that when I start doing something, I tell myself that this probably isn't the best way to do it. And there must be a better way to do this thing. And then I start procrastinating. So then I kind of go around in this cycle of, I know what needs to be done. I think this is the right way to do it, but maybe it's not the right way to do it. So let me see if I can think about another way to do it. And then it just kind of doesn't happen.
And that
So
voice that you have inside, if you were to identify it or characterize it, what would it look like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it would look like a smaller, screechier version of me.
Yeah.
I think it would it would look like me telling myself I can't do that thing because it just doesn't make sense and it's not logical, and it's, you know, if it was done like that before and it didn't work, why would it work this time? And so yeah, there's all these kind of just yeah, I think it's just me. I feel like it's just me looking in the mirror saying, you know, no, you have to find a better way to do this. There must be a better way.
And what name would you give her then, your little you?
I don't know, probably the irritation, something like that. I don't think I'd call her Louise because I don't think I'd want to be associated with her, to be honest.
Okay. And so what impact does it have on you when your little you is telling you, no, there must be a better way? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, I guess sometimes I just kind of take hold of it and say, okay, today's not going to be the day that you're going to stop me doing anything. So I just kind of, I write my very short to-do list because I've decided that long to-do lists are a complete fatal waste of time and they just make you more depressed. So I think just by focusing on two or three things, get those 2 or 3 things done today, and I just try and push the voice aside. And every time I kind of get distracted by another email or something popping in or a phone call or a message, I really have to talk to myself. It's like when I'm playing golf, I have to just say, just put the blinkers on, completely block it out and just focus on getting this thing done. And when I'm less good at doing that, when I'm not being really, really strict with myself and saying focus, I end up just kind of running out of time. And then I put myself under enormous pressure and probably end up with the same result anyway, but just going through a much more stressful process. So there's the one where I give myself time and focus myself, but I really have to talk myself through that one. And then the other time is when I ignore and I continue to get distracted and and then just leave it till like the last minute. And then I just have to churn it out at whatever time of night or day it is that I have to get it done.
And how would you describe your relationship with your inner critic if you were to describe it as a sort of form of relationship?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any siblings, but I would probably think it would be like the irritating sibling. Just kind of saying, you know, you can't do that. Why would you do it that way? Just being really negative and critical. Why would you do it like that? It's clearly not the right way to do it. You know, it's yeah.
Is irritating younger or older than you are?
I would say probably younger.
Younger.
Yeah, just thinking they can do it they can do something better.
Yeah,
they can do it better. Why would you do it like that? It's clearly not the right way to do it.
Yeah, like the Gen Z, they know it better.
Yeah, exactly. Should we flip this now? And I should be asking you, right? Okay. So
excuse me, I'm just gonna, if I may, ladies, just to kind of jump in. I mean, that was so beautiful to witness, because actually I think in some of your questions, Marilena, Louise was like, oh, that's a really good question. But the image that has emerged for me is really clear of this kind of irritating younger sister that thinks that she knows better, that is constantly questioning, like, why are you doing it like that? Isn't there a better way? Like this really annoying younger girl who's just kind of going, why are you doing it like that? That's really stupid. Why are you doing it like that? Why do it like this? You know, and as soon as you create that, like, I was really curious as to whether you were going to say, oh yeah, it's me and she's called Louise, and you were like, but you were really clear, no, I'm not going to give her my name because I
don't want to be her.
So she's not you, I think, and there's real power in establishing, really being really clear, she is not
distancing.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there is now this, did you give her a name? Just the irritant, I think you just called
Irritating. Yeah, it's just irritating. I had to think of an irritating noise, but like an irritating name, but I don't actually know. I don't think I could find anyone that irritating that wouldn't, you know, be a disservice to somebody who had the same name.
After this session, I would encourage you to think of a name for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for now, yeah, swap round. Well done, both of you. It was great.
Okay. Thanks, Kate.
Kate, you could also jump in with questions if you want.
So you pronounce your name Marilena?
Yeah.
Marilena. Okay. So so tell me about your inner critic. What? How often does she surface? Do you have a regular relationship with her?
No, I don't think I can say that there is a regularity in her appearance, its appearance, because I have actually very similar to Erin. I've always had the devil and the angel.
Okay.
So the inner critic is red with horns, but it's not a female or male. It's neutral.
Interesting.
Doesn't have specific female or male
gender.
attributes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's red. You said it's red.
It's red, yes. And
does that make you, is it like an angry? So it's like an angry little presence?
No, it's not angry.
Okay.
But it's, hey, Michaela, everything all right?
Yes, was very good. And I talked a lot with the lady, Anna, but she has to prepare the dinner for the kids. So she left me.
Ah, okay. So shall I put you with Kate in a room? Kate, do you want to go with Michaela?
Well, if you don't mind.
What?
I don't mind.
Yeah.
No, I need, okay, but
what?
I need to take opportunity to go to the toilet.
Oh, okay,
you take a break.
Yeah.
Okay,
so before the ladies are coming back.
Okay,
but thanks for the opportunity. It was nice to talk to Kate. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Marilena, would you send people a 10-minute warning?
Yeah.
So or you can make me a co-host and I can do that maybe.
Yes. Okay.
Whichever's easier.
See if you can write to everyone in the. You see the breakout rooms function?
Yeah, I can broadcast. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So what I was saying.
It's red and it's got horns and it's not gender specific. So
and it's not angry. No, it's not an angry voice. It's a very critical voice.
Yeah. What does it tell you?
That I'm not up for certain things, you know. Are you sure that you can make it? No, you won't be able to make it. So now, for instance, I'm going for a certification, professional certification on enterprise risk management, and I have to find 400 hours. Extra work time, extra family time, extra all the rest, and it's kind of hard. So I have both voices telling me, 400 is a lot, you will never find the time, how are you going to do it, you have the exams in December, and the other one, come on, just sit down, make a plan and you will make it. So that's the one I call the cheerleader. And she is white and blue.
Okay.
Sort of angel-like, happy cheerleading character, and so we have people starting to come back.
Okay.
Marilyn,
I'm
I feel for
imagining-
you because you're kind of trying to engage whilst at the same time managing
I know. I'm
managing
thoroughly
wandering
impressed.
attendees and breakout rooms.
This is an exercise in psychological multitasking. I'm highly
Yeah.
impressed. And I love that analogy of the blue and white cheerleader. I think that's great because it's kind of happy and fresh and free. And
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, that's
very cool.
exactly her image. And she's
Yeah.
definitely female.
Yeah.
And she's definitely, the Kate, when you were saying your best self, your strongest supporter,
Yeah.
I saw myself in that role, and like, yeah, you can do this. Like the book project, when we did the book, it was like seemingly impossible, and then in 5 months we made it possible. Just so.
Well, I can say
And the beautiful exercise earlier when you said, invite someone to hold your back.
Yeah.
First, I had my husband, and then I had a whole. How do you call when there's the soldiers are all in a here in German we say here
squadron, like a squadron of
squadron, yes, of supporting people, and that felt really good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. But that kind of energy of the cheerleader, I think, is something that you give off naturally. You have that sort of natural positive energy, and that can be a real, like, being able to channel that as a force for good to counter the red, horny, critical, negative voice.
Usually the cheerleader wins over the horny bastard.
Horny bastard.
Horny bastard. I just gave it a name.
I'm gonna get some crazy. These images are just flying around now. I'm gonna.
I love it.
You see my irritating.
If I ever had to do a tattoo on my body, which I will never do, but if I had to, I would probably choose this horny bastard and cheerleader.
And the cheerleader.
So we have a horny bastard that has slightly unnerving connotations in English, but anyway. And then we also have the irritating younger sister, I think is Louise's.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, Melissa, you're back. Anna, you're back.
Maine
is back. Amani, I think, has been there.
No, Amani, I don't think she's there.
No. Michaela is back, and we've still got a few minutes before other people come back, but maybe we can start having a bit of a chat whilst others join us. But would you put your cameras on if you can? Can you put your cameras on and join the conversation on camera? Maine, Anna. Hi.
I'm multitasking. I'm trying to cook dinner at the same time.
We can see you cooking dinner. That's okay.
You can share recipes.
Share recipes, yeah. Melissa, can you come on to? It's just much nicer to see people's faces. Oh, she's trying to fix her connection. Melissa, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. I'm sorry. Having connection issues, so I've actually missed quite a bit of the, unfortunately, event.
Okay. Michaela, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hello. Here we are.
I'm not sure of the people that have joined again, how many of you managed to have a conversation about your inner critic? Michaela, did you manage to?
Yes.
You did.
It was very interesting.
Would you be able to share something of what you either learned about your own inner critic?
Yes, absolutely. The very sympathetic thing is that I never figured that this could be a real person of a character like a comics.
Yeah.
So now I know who I'm talking to.
Exactly. Now you know who you're talking to. And who is it? Who is this person?
Okay, it's like a very thin and tall man, gray, very gray. So it's like he doesn't have, he's not in 3D or 2D. It's like one layer. It's one layer.
It's flat.
Flat, yeah. It's flat and it's gray, so all kind of grays, color shades of grays.
Yeah.
And he has got like hat, like a bombette.
Oh, like a bowler hat?
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds very English.
Well, it looks like, yeah.
Grey.
Well, maybe in another life was my father in England. I don't know.
Does it remind you of your father?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So, and so he's always speaking with like a soft voice, or it's laughing. So, and sometimes he talk and then he disappear, and then I turn and he's still there. So it likes make jokes with me.
In a nice way or not a nice way?
No.
Not a nice
No. And he's always putting me anxiety. So the feeling that I have, it's like he's pushing the anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really clear. Your description is really clear. This flat, thin, tall, grey man, sort of English, reminds you a bit of your father. Wears this bowler hat, has a soft voice, is always mocking you and making jokes and causing you a lot of anxiety. So if you were to give him a name, what name would you give this person?
Oh my God, this is difficult. Okay.
Change it later. Just like don't think about it too much. Just be like, I'll call him
Mr. Smith. It's English. It's really English.
It's really English. It's perfect, Mr.
Yes.
Smith.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are just coming back, Michaela said, now I know who I'm talking to. You're talking to Mr. Smith. Yeah.
Yes.
And you have quite a clear, I mean, I have a very clear sense of what Mr. Smith is like as a result. Does anybody else have any observations from hearing Michaela describe him? Or any questions? Yeah, Louise, yeah.
Is he kind of strong, or because he doesn't sound strong?
No, not at all.
No.
He's thin and very thick. It's not strong.
What happens, Michaela, if he's so thin? What happens if you push back against him? Particularly if you use your strong, resourceful woman that we visualized at the beginning of the exercise, at the beginning of the session. If she, in all her strength, stands up to him, what happens?
It's like Casper, the ghost. So it's everywhere. So he moves.
Okay.
So it's not easy to...
It's not easy to kind of grab him.
No.
And what impact does he have on you when he's mocking you? How do you feel like?
I feel like a baby. I don't feel like a woman. It's a regressive thing.
I can hear that in your voice as you describe it. I can hear the impact that he has on you.
Yeah, and now I don't know, but I feel I have to cry.
Yeah. So what I want you to do is to see if you can, first of all, breathe. Breathe. Exactly. And as you're breathing, I want you to, were you at the beginning of the session?
Yeah.
We did that exercise and I asked you to imagine standing strong, feeling people who champion you and love you standing around you, finding the most powerful, beautiful, wise part of yourself that has got you where you are today, despite Mr. Smith, seeing her standing next to you, feeling her presence, trusting in how powerful she is, knowing how resilient she is. And I want you to imagine, like in your mind's eye now, that as you're sitting here listening to me, her presence is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and his presence is getting smaller. The more she grows, the smaller he becomes. He's getting thinner and thinner and thinner and flatter and flatter, like pastry, the thinnest pastry you can imagine, until you go like that until he's gone.
Yes, I can see it.
So I want you to do that with your hand. Yeah. Rub it. Yes. Like that. And that could be something that you could do when he's really present, is do this. So you're rubbing him like pastry until he disintegrates.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It was effective. Very much. Thank you. You're very precious today.
Thank you so much, though, for sharing. It was a really beautiful description, and yeah, shouldn't swear because it's a prophet. Yeah.
Shall I close the rooms now?
Yeah, do please. Yeah. Let's bring other people back. Hello. Hello, Francis. Hello, Sheila.
Hi.
Francis, you're looking very queen-like with a dark backdrop. You are. You're looking very regal. Hello, everybody. Hello, Fiona. Hello, Alessandra.
Francis, you're muted.
Seda, hi.
I've had quite a journey because I was on the train and then I had to get on my bicycle. and I didn't have headphones either, so I was listening and following this on my phone. So that is the dedicated inner part of me, the nice person that I need to remember and value, not the nasty, criticky voice.
Not the nasty, what was the word? Pesky voice, did you say?
Well, pesky, critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But which was the voice that got you to stay in the session despite being on a train and then on the bike? Was it the pesky critical voice that was like, you must attend that session?
No, it wasn't. No, it was the I've had a bad day with a big performance issue, and I'm beating myself up about an event which was actually very successful. And I can't stop it. And so I was just saying with Sheila, my voice gets into a bit of a loop and gets resided right inside my body and my head, and it's quite hard to dislodge.
Well, that's really interesting. And I think if you can follow the technique that we're just started playing with in this session, it might be really useful for you, because part of the main purpose of it is to dislodge it, is to move it from something that is just inexplicably part of your internal world to externalize it. So to have it be something that you can almost touch and feel and therefore create a bit of distance from. It's like, it's a thing that's sitting next to you, or it's a thing like with Erin that's on your shoulder, or it's like this flat, thin, bowler-hatted, nasty man that Mihaela was just talking about. Or it's a red, horny bastard, as Marielena's man was that we were talking about earlier. It's just, but it kind of just creates, that dislodging is a really important word, I think, because otherwise it can consume us, right? And we can just get lost in what it's and in what it says to us. So do you have a word for it, or a name rather, sorry, for that? Could you find a name for it?
We didn't cover that.
But just right now, if you were to give it a name.
If I was to give it a name, snark.
Snark.
Yeah.
As in SNARK.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And what are snark's characteristics?
It's like a teenager, not a clear gender, whether it's male or female, like a young teen, 11, 12, that kind of knows everything and is nasty and is kind of knows how to hurt, and is smart and talks back.
Francis, your snark sounds very it's a bit like playing Snap. It's a bit like playing Saboteur Snap. Louise, sounds remarkably like your irritant younger sister that you were talking about earlier. Do you want to say anything about her and what characteristics she shares with Snark?
Yeah, no, I think I can definitely relate to that. I don't have any siblings, just to say, but if I did, I think the voice would be this person. It would be embodied in an irritating little sister that says, why are you doing it like that? That's clearly the wrong way to do it. You know, why would you ever think of doing it like that? That's never going to work. So yeah, just that there's quite similarities there, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Francis. Is there anything, welcome back everybody else. We've been kind of bringing people in gradually as people have kind of come back from their conversations, and we've just been drawing out some of the different nasty personalities of these creatures or these beings. So far we have had Mr. Smith, we've had the horny bastard, we've had Snark, we've had irritating, is she just called irritating?
We'll just call it irritating for now until I think of a better word.
Irritating. Does anybody else have any others that they would like to introduce us to? Who else do we have? The Claw. Keitra, tell us about the Claw.
Yeah, no, so the Claw is more, yeah, it's like a claw. It's sort of like a kind of a shadowy kind of horror film creature that comes from within and, covers me or kind of scratches at me, punishing me with the criticism. It's not really gendered. It's really like a claw, but
like a body snatcher.
But if it had a gender, it'd be more male. Yeah, a body snatcher kind of thing.
Yeah, very vicious by the sounds of things.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's the nature of your relationship with the Claw?
The nature. Well, I guess the nature is more sort of. Well, it's kind of I guess it's kind of a kind of punishing nature. Maybe. I suppose in that sense, it's sort of a judgment, right? It's sort of a kind of a critic, but then also punishing is the only thing that I can think of really.
Okay. And are there any particular techniques that you have learned or just lines to take that are effective in getting the Claw to get lost?
Yeah, so it's like the Claw kind of like comes and like kind of covers me and closes me in. So I feel very small and closed when I'm being critiqued, and one can't breathe well. It's all collapsing in. So to get over that, it's this kind of suffocating feeling. I try to just open up. In fact, like I force myself to physically open up and breathe. And if some of you have done mindfulness, do a body scan, and sort of go breathe into the toe, and then and in doing so, keeping my palms open. It's all very physical. In fact, keeping my palms open, to be open to not these closed ideas, in fact. So
yeah. Well, that's fantastic, because as soon as you talked about the Claw and this idea that it kind of grabs you, which was why it reminded me of a body snatcher, I was going to start asking you about movement and body stuff, so that you can, just through moving your body, it's like you're releasing yourself from this hold that this thing can have over you. You can kind of shake it loose. And there's also this, I was doing it with Mihaela. We were before some of you joined, and we were talking a similar thing. We were kind of doing this as a means of disintegrating this flat man, such that like pastry in your hands, going like this until it disintegrates. But like this kind of thing where you're It's almost like you're brushing something off you, like removing dust or dirt from yourself. Like brushing down your legs can also be a way of feeling more in your body and therefore connecting with a different part of yourself. Because this is essentially a trick of the mind, right? Let's call it a trick of the mind. So, and somebody mentioned, I don't know which of you mentioned in the check-in, that someone talked about their yoga practice. And Chitra's just talked about mindful practice, but all of those body and breath practices, be they meditation, mindfulness, yoga, any kind of physical activity, so be it kind of running or walking, getting out in the fresh air, just all of those practices, dancing, are incredibly powerful ways of getting out of our head where a lot of this is happening and into a more grounded place where we can connect more with, I'm going to call her our most resourceful selves, the woman that we connected with at the very beginning of this session. Brigida, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I could add to that.
Yeah, of course, please.
What you're saying. I think what's really important is also to be aware of your cognitions and how they either feed or dismiss, you know, the claw. And I know that from my own personal experience, especially in the last 2 years, I was thinking about this critic, you know, and when you had described wolves, like a pack of wolves, you know, I had a similar sensation if I were to describe my critic. And I was speaking with Erin about it and thinking, I would have described it as I was surrounded by hyenas who were very hungry.
Yes.
And I was like a raw piece of meat, which could best describe my vulnerability, you know? Yeah. But then through my experience, I was able to kind of form the critic. And when I was doing the exercise, I was thinking of myself differently. When you had to stand up, it was quite empowering. Yeah. Because it was kind of like an energy went through my body and allowed me to think of a cactus, which is what I often think of myself, and in my experience in the last 2 years was of a cactus. And if you think of a cactus, I was thinking of all the prickly parts of the cactus, no? That had the external, you know, critical kind of challenging tug of war around me, you know, that was challenging me. Whereas before, you know, I felt like, you know, the prickly parts were my motivators that brought me to push back, you know, and to you know, to
you on.
Right, yeah. But then they became painful, and I kept thinking about the cactus and how, you know, I felt in this dry desert and not having the resources to nourish myself. And I felt the hot sun that was hurting me instead of nourishing me or supporting me. And the more you know, the hyenas were hungry, or the more I felt vulnerable, the more exposed I was, no? But as soon as I transformed those cognitions to being empowering messages and was able to contain the negative and really focus, you know, where your focus goes, your energy flows, is what I always say, and put my energy in a place that gave me positive messages. Then my cactus could feel the warmth of the sun and could feel the dirt as the ground underneath my plant. And as I slowly could feel myself stronger, I could then see that there was like a bud coming on the cactus and a flower was starting to grow, and that I was feeling like, okay, I'm going to survive this prickly moment, and I'm going to shine through this.
What an amazing transformation in a
And I can be honest and share with you in this psychologically safe forum, you know, what I described is my experience in a container in Mogadishu, Somalia, in a level 3 hardship duty station. And so being a woman in a situation providing support to staff members, you do feel a bit vulnerable. You know, and you can feel in certain systems or systemic worlds that there are hungry wolves around you or hyenas. And so you have to protect yourself. And so what's really important is to make sure that you feel, you know, safe and protected, but from the inside out.
I could not agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. I'm very touched by what you've just shared, actually. Very touched. I mean, yeah.
No, but thank you for this opportunity, because I really want you to know this has been a beautiful experience for me.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. But I'm just, you know, I know I said at the beginning, and I hope you all heard it, that whilst, you know, we've been using creative, playful mechanisms, it in no way takes away from the pain that this tendency that we all have can bring. And whilst we've been, you know, whilst part of the reason for working with our inner critics in this way is that we can, as I said at the beginning, reduce some of their power by making them ridiculous, you know, making Mr. Smith this ridiculous flat man with a stupid bowler hat who looks like some grey, boring English man that I see every day in the streets of London. Or, you know, the horny bastard is just like the kind of, which is Marilena's little red devil. It makes them ridiculous, and therefore it reduces their power over us. But some of the images that you've described and shared are very moving. You know, the claw that comes and almost envelops us, or this pack of hyenas kind of wanting to chew into our raw vulnerability. It's really, you know, if you really feel into just the mockery that some of you have described in different ways, from snark or from irritating or from, you know, it's nasty. And the impact is, some of you have talked about anxiety, about being freaked out, about just real vulnerability that it exposes in us. And to pick up on the other thing that you were talking about, Brigida, is this: our body can be a huge, powerful vehicle out, a huge, powerful way out, a way of creating distance between us and them. And realizing that, I think, you know, Mihaela said earlier, I now know who I'm talking to. I now know who this voice is. It's not me. It's this other thing. It's this other Mr. She, he, it, whatever. It's also, and I can now have a conversation with it. I can now use my body, my resourcefulness, my strength to say, in as polite or rude a way as you like, get lost. I'm not interested. I'm not having this conversation with you. I hear you. I hear what you've got to say. I'm not interested. I've got a promotion to get. I've got a loving relationship to tend to. I've got this new beginning that I'm heading towards. I'm going to look after myself. I'm going to be okay. I'm not interested in what you have to say. You entertain yourself over there in the corner, but I've got other things to do with my time. Wadzi, you very patiently had your hand up, and I know that then we are running out of time. But Wadzi, are you still with us, or have you lost?
Yes, I am. One of the things that came up with, and I was with Mammy, so we had a great discussion. But one of the things that struck me, well, two things actually. The first was, is the inner critic age related? Because I found that in my 20s and 30s, I did not have that critic, right? I was my most powerful, especially when I was visualizing the people that hold me, you know, when I imagined my 30-year-old self and my kids. Right. So and that was interesting in the discussion. The second thing was, are we taking on our one parent's anxiety, in particular our mother? And are we reflecting that? So those were two things that I thought were very interesting about the conversation I had, you know, in the breakout group.
I think two people have raised their hands. So the people that want to respond to that. Nuha, you've got your hand raised, and then Erin, I think.
Yeah, it's just a continuation to what Wadzi had said. We also had a very interesting conversation, because for me, my critic was a devilish monkey in the form of a woman who jumps all the time and sometimes invite actually other monkeys to come and have a party in my head. But my colleague in the room had a very good critique. It's a critique that pushes her to be better, to better think about her life. And she described it as in the form of an age of a school age, little one.
Yeah.
But we also talk about something that is interesting for me, that maybe these critics also are developed. As what I said, when I was younger, maybe I did not have as much, but as I grew up, I started having them. And maybe it's the environment that we are grown up into, right? The people who surround us and the messages we hear from our childhood up to, this age we are in, that also kind of feeds into this inner critique, whatever creature we have. So for me, it was interesting just to hear that from her while we're discussing. So I just wanted to share that.
Another very, very visual image of the devilish monkey and other monkeys having a party. But also interesting to hear different experiences in terms of the conversation that you had in your pair. Erin, would you like to come in?
Oh yeah, just quickly, I wanted to say, I think, we all wrestle and do battle with our inner critics, but I think I was remembering some examples where I feel like it served me and actually helped me in response to outer critics. And I thought about like a couple moments in my career where a manager said to me like, oh, you never get that job, forget about that promotion, or oh, I don't think you're suited for this. And that was my dream. And so at the time I was like, how dare you, and you're kind of knocks the wind out of you, whatever. Then I feel like you can almost do like this ninja aikido, like using that negative energy as momentum to be like, okay, watch me. And then, later they see, oh, she got that job, oh, she did that. So yeah, somehow like when we're faced with outer critics, and I don't always succeed, but sometimes it's like, oh, it kind of makes that inner critic or whatever come alive and work for me instead of against me.
It's so interesting. I think that's part of the reason. Somehow I think it's easier to tackle something that is external than to something that feels like it's just you. And that is precisely why this technique can be so useful, is because and it was Francis who used this word dislodge. It kind of dislodges this thing from being inside you and just being part of you and just being part of this narrative that's going on in your head, to being this external man, woman, creature, thing, sibling, idiot, claw, animal, whatever it is, that you then have more distance with, and you can then use a variety of these techniques. We've talked a lot about body work, breath work, physicality, body posture, mindfulness, meditation, exercise, dancing, anything physical. We've also talked about using the power of having a relationship with your most powerful self. It's like the antithesis of the inner critic is your, whatever you want to call her, your divine feminine, your captain, your leader, your wise woman, your future self, not your future self because she's present already, but being able to engage her also as an instrument, as a force for good, in relationship with your inner critic. I'm really conscious of time. It feels like we could talk for a lot longer, but I promised that I would finish on time, and I've already not done that. It's 5 past. It's later for you than it is for me, so I feel like we should bring it to a close. I wanted to mention one book to some of to you, which I'm going to type in the chat, which is called Taming Your Inner Critic by somebody called Jay Early, which is a book that I often recommend to people that I'm coaching. Obviously not everybody likes it, not everybody finds it useful, but often people do find it really useful. So it's specifically about this subject. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. I also wanted to really encourage all of you to, building on what we've done today, is to continue to build your picture of both your devil and your angel, essentially. So I very deliberately wanted to make sure that we did that visualization at the beginning, so that we are accompanied, we develop our connection with our strength as a counterbalance to this critical thing that wants to sabotage our success. So in moving forward, I would really encourage you to take more time, yes, to continue to complete or evolve your connection with your inner critic. Give it a name. Who cares what it is? Just give it a name. Get to know it. Maybe find an image or a photograph or an object or something that you can use to represent it. So it's like a physical thing. So who cares what it is? It doesn't matter. But you give it the characteristics of your inner critic, and also find something that can symbolize your powerful woman, whether it's a photograph of yourself or of a beautiful place or a statue. I'm just going to show you what comes to mind. I've just come back from Seville and saw a lot of flamenco shows. And if there's one type of woman that inspires me always, it's the female flamenco dancer. Just that passion and grace and strength and pride. And I was watching these dancers and thinking, nobody would mess with her. Seriously, nobody would have a chance of messing with that woman. Feeling completely inspired. And on that note, I have to thank you all so much for your contributions and sharing some of your vulnerabilities with me and with us. It's been a real pleasure. I wish we could have spent more time together. But thank you. And I don't know if Nuha or Marilena wants to say anything final to finish.
Yeah, I would like actually to thank you, Kate, for this insightful, inspiring session, and all the ladies who's been there. I mean, it's always for me, you know, sharing our thoughts, our experiences. It give me power. I feel like powerful, you know, like I am not in this life alone, suffering and, you know, going through certain experiences, bad experiences or good ones. So thank you all for sharing your thought experiences. And I look forward to seeing you in our upcoming session in April, which we hopefully will share soon the invitation and the theme. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good to see you, Kate.
You too.